we begin with an NFL draft story. It's going to be a big week for content from the NFL draft, which is both a blessing and a curse. But we're closing in on it, and we are now T-minus less than a week from the Pigskin Job Fair, which is very exciting. And one of the top suspects, remember a prospect is just a suspect until proven otherwise. So one of the top suspects is messing with the interview process or the job finding process. And this is not going to go over well. So if you didn't hear about this, and maybe not, there are whispers in hushed tones suggesting that the Ohio State wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., is intentionally deceiving NFL teams to lower his draft stock to play in Chicago. Developing hot, ... So the story goes like this. The Bears have the first pick. They're not going to draft Marvin Harrison, but they also have a top 10 pick, I believe the number 9 pick. And so they're at number 9, and Harrison's supposed to be drafted in the top 6, if you believe these mock drafts. But Harrison, finagling the draft, he did not participate in the Ohio State Pro Day, choosing not to dot the I, nor did he participate in the NFL Scouting Combine, the Underwear Olympics, further fueling the conspiracy theory. He was a no-show for the media interview session at the Combine as well. So let us discuss the question. How credible are these rumors that Marvin Harrison Jr. is trying to manipulate the draft so he ends up with Caleb Williams and the Bears? So I've got sign language, Mortal Kombat, and porridge. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a nice frog. Like, the old Kermit the Frog. There's a lot of famous frogs, many famous frogs. All right, so on the MALLER scale of credibility, which is the most important measurement device used on these type of stories, the MALLER scale of credibility on Marvin Harrison Jr. trying to manipulate the draft so he ends up with the Bears. 1 to 10. 10 means it is absolutely on like Donkey Kong. I'm at a 3. I wish I was higher. It'd be better if I was higher. I would enjoy the story more if I was higher on the MALLER scale of credibility. But I'm at a 3 on this. We aren't saying it's impossible that this is going on, but why would you pick the Bears? How many receivers over the last, I don't know how old you are, your life, whatever. How many receivers have gone to Chicago and just fallen off the map? And if you were to manipulate the draft, if your goal was to play with an elite quarterback, if that is what you were trying to do, you were trying to run amok from the normal draft, you want to go play with a great quarterback, why would you not go fully cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and try to end up with the Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills, who need a number 1 receiver? Plus, there's also the financial component. Your rookie contract is slotted, so if you intentionally fall down lower, you get paid less initially. But then you're betting you're going to stay healthy and make more on the backside. Now, I see the smoke. There is smoke there. It's not a wildfire. It's more like a weekend barbecue at the park. But here's the other thing, right? I have this one as a sign language story. Now, what does that mean? That Marvin Harrison is a bit obtuse. He is letting his fingers do the talking. It is more likely than not that Marvin Harrison believes that his tape with the Buckeyes is so delicious, it's so yummy, that nobody will pass on him in the draft. And so he doesn't have to do all this nonsense work. That's what the peons have to do, not a player like him. And also by working out, he would have only hurt himself. People would have poked holes in his ability. And it's also the possibility, the wild card possibility, that he's an introvert like his pops and does not want to deal with people out in the wild blue yonder. Now, we mentioned the Bills, and turning the page here, we take the station wagon to Buffalo. Here we go, Buffalo. We used to have a bunch of Bills Mafia guys that called the show, and then they gagged in the playoffs against Kansas City, and they all vanished. So executive Brandon Beane spoke, as many NFL executives did this week in the lead up to the draft, and he said that the big cheese there in Western New York said that he does not believe the Bills need a true number one wide receiver this season. This is, of course, after they finally did what everyone knew was going to happen. They unloaded Stefon Diggs into the transfer portal to the Texans for a bag of worms. That's what they got, a bag of worms for Stefon Diggs. Now, when asked specifically about this, the number one receiver, the GM there, blabbed, no, what you need are guys that in this offense are smart, versatile, selfless, and can make the plays that their skill set allows them to make. Okay, then. So let's expand on this. Brandon Beane says the Bills don't need a true number one receiver this season for Josh Allen. Is that how you see it? Is that how you see it? So on this side of the microphone, I'm going to go first because I have the bully pulpit. Then you can go. So on this side of the microphone, I'm shaking my head. Actually, I'm shaking my head no. Right? That's what I'm shaking my head no. This is a Mortal Kombat quote. This is a Mortal Kombat quote, okay? Beane, here's the way I see this in the cartoon bubble, which is above my head. So Beane working as a ninja, right? He used the word selfless. That's a big word. We parse the words. Part of this job is parsing the words. So the word selfless, you know what that is? That's the Mortal Kombat ninja. That is a subtle, passive-aggressive shot poking Stefon Diggs, who is the antithesis of selfless, right? That is clearly a shot at Diggs without formally taking a shot at Diggs because dumb people don't understand the nuance of the Buffalo GM. And Josh Allen, he didn't break out until he got Stefon Diggs. Now, they had to get rid of Stefon Diggs because the Bills got tired of his shenanigans. The only ones that didn't see that were the Bills mafia cats. They couldn't believe it, but they could no longer coexist anymore. But I will guarantee you that the Bills, they're going to be trying to get all these top receivers. You got a bunch of receivers that are going to be in the portal before the draft. T. Higgins in Cincinnati, Brandon Ayuk with the 49ers, A.J. Brown in Philadelphia. All of those guys are in play, and there's others as well. All right, last word here. We go to New England. The Patriots have a top 3 pick in the draft, number 3. The GM there, a guy named Elliott Wolf, howling at the moon, says that he is, quote, open for business, he said. Open for business to trade that number 3 pick. Is this meaningful? So I'm going to go yes on this one, that it is meaningful, because to me, the way I interpreted it, it means that New England does not believe the 3rd-ranked player in this draft is much better than the 6th or the 10th-ranked player. Now, it's also possible he's lying, right? It's lying season in the NFL. But every GM, my entire life, I've been behind a microphone. Even before I was behind these stupid microphones. My entire life, every general manager before the draft has said, yeah, we're open to business. We're listening. We're listening. We don't want to trade the pick, but if we get an offer, we'll listen. And I always love to, before the draft, we want to draft the best player available. Of course, these people in football are so stupid, they don't realize that the term best means a player as good as all the rest. They don't quite grasp that. So you're essentially saying we just want to draft a good player, but it sounds more impressive if you say we want the best player available. You're not going to say we want the top player, because if the player doesn't turn out to be top, the top in class, that's a bad look. So these are all boilerplate responses. But I look at the Patriots, and they're like a smelly porridge of poop, that roster. And Elliott Wolf had said a couple weeks back, maybe a couple months ago, he said the buck stops with him. Not to reopen old wounds, but the buck stops with him. And we haven't even made it to the draft. He was bragging, pumping his chest out with all this machismo about how he's the decision maker. He's got final cut on what the Patriots do, and he's already publicly waffling. And we haven't even gotten to the draft. Hello?